The Marias Massacre, occurring on January 23, 1870, stands as a lesser-known but significant event in Montana's history. Despite its limited acknowledgement, this tragic incident resulted in the deaths of approximately 200 Piegan Indians, with most being women and children. One company commander referred to it as the most extensive killing of Native Americans by U.S. troops. Before this incident, tensions between the Blackfoot Confederacy, consisting of the Blackfoot, Blood, and Piegan tribes, and white settlers had been simmering for years. In 1869, during ongoing skirmishes, a young warrior named Owl Child stole several horses from Malcolm Clark, a white trader. Clark later found Owl Child and publicly beat him in retaliation for the theft. This humiliation led Owl Child and a group of renegade Piegans to seek vengeance, resulting in Clark's death. The murder incited public outrage, prompting General Philip Sheridan to dispatch a cavalry unit, led by Major Eugene Baker, to hunt down and discipline those responsible. On January 23, 1870, a cavalry unit received intelligence that the Piegan tribe, under Mountain Chief's leadership, had set up camp along the Marias River. At dawn, around 200 dismounted U.S. cavalrymen positioned themselves in ambush along the snowy bluffs overlooking the river. They waited for the signal to attack as the camp chief emerged from his lodge and walked toward the bluffs, holding a document of safe passage. However, it wasn't Mountain Chief, who had been warned and had already left the area. Instead, it was Heavy Runner, a Piegan leader known for his friendly relations with the white settlers. Despite warnings from Army scouts like Joe Kipp that they were targeting the wrong camp, their concerns were dismissed. A shot from another scout, Joe Coble, triggered the violence, resulting in the massacre. During those early hours, the Indian camp was vulnerable since most men were away hunting. Bullets tore through the lodges, causing some to collapse into smoldering fire pits, trapping the half-asleep occupants. When the attack ended, 173 people were killed, mostly women, children, and the elderly. Another 140 were taken captive, only to be released later without horses, enough food, or warm clothing. As they journeyed towards Fort Benton, about 90 miles away, many froze to death along the way. Meanwhile, Major Eugene Baker guided his troops downstream to locate the intended target specified in his orders. However, upon their arrival, Mountain Chief and his group had already escaped to safety in the nearby Canadian territory. During the massacre, only one cavalryman perished after falling off his horse and breaking his leg. Lieutenant Gus Doane, leader of F Company, described the event as the most significant killing of Indians ever conducted by U.S. troops. Following the incident, there was a swift uproar of condemnation in Congress and the Eastern media. However, General William Sherman managed to evade a public investigation by quieting the objections raised by General Alfred Sully, the Superintendent of Montana Indians for the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and Lieutenant William Pease, the Piegan Indian agent who had reported the alarming death toll. Sherman countered by releasing a statement to the press denying any military wrongdoing and asserting that the majority of the deceased Piegans were warriors from Mountain Chief's camp. A lot of criticism was directed at Major Baker, who was known to struggle with alcohol, for both the massacre and the inability to apprehend Mountain Chief's group. Despite the controversy that followed, General Sheridan stood by Baker's leadership abilities. With statements from both Sheridan and Sherman, there was never an official inquiry into the incident. While the event held as much significance as other massacres like Bear River, Sand Creek, and Washita, it has been largely forgotten in history. There are few mentions of the incident in historical books and journals. Additionally, there is no marker or monument at the site of the mass grave of the Piegan victims.